It brings with it the world champions, Australia, of course. They take on Fiji this afternoon. Well, we've got a game here, Alex Murphy, and we're going to have a contest.
Well, obviously, there's two big talking points in the game. There's one or two positions up for grabs with the Australian lads. They'll want to assure Bobby Fulton that he has picked the right side, because there are one or two positions, the half-back positions. I notice Andrew Johns at number 9. We've also got Paul McGregor on the substitute bench. There's a lot of people have to play well today.
And of course they've brought in the new boy, Gary Larson, who'll replace Paul Harrigan, who's got that dreadful jaw injury. He'll take no further part in the World Cup. Now, it's a bit of a surprise that Larson wasn't included originally.
Well, he's a very, very good forward, Gary Larson. Like I say, a lot of people thought, why was he in the general squad to start off with? But you've got to realise they've got so much strength over there. This guy has got to be an improvement on everything.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. The Fijians are just preparing in their customary manner. There's certainly been some great spirit about the rugby league which has been played by the Fijians, Alex.
Well, I think the World Cup itself has thrown some magnificent types of football up. We see the style of the Australians, we see the flowing style of the Fijians. England's playing well. Really, it's giving a lot of people a lot of great entertainment.
And of course the world champions Australia, big reputation. They've got to really get to grips with this game this afternoon, because both these teams realistically are 80 minutes away from a World Cup semi-final.
It's very, very important for the Australians, and here we have the archer from the Fijians. This is supposed to frighten the Australians. I don't think he'll have that effect on the Aussies, but having said that, they're certainly frightening me, and I'm sat at the back row of the stand.
Well, I would agree as well. And the Australian team have turned their back on it completely, so we'll see if the Fijians, the underdogs of course, can work any type of a miracle. Great response from a pretty sparse crowd, really, has to be said, at the McAlpine Stadium, Alex.
Well, I think it's not the biggest gate I've seen, but having said that, I think it is a Saturday afternoon. There's plenty of football and whatever's on in the other sports, but I'm very surprised that a lot of people have not come along to support this.
Well, we've just got a few minutes to wait before the action gets underway, of course. Conditions quite dull, quite a bit of fog around earlier in this morning. That's cleared, thankfully. And Fiji, well, the early part of the game is going to be pretty interesting, because perhaps a bit naive defensively, the Fijians, Alec, but they certainly like to entertain.
Well, there's some very, very big players amongst them. They play a different style of football to Australia. I mean, they're actually learning the game. We look at Fiji in another 5 years. Here we have the referee with Ernie Ward. This fella's a very, very good and experienced referee. He'll keep the game flowing, and it should be enjoyable.
Well, we'll soon see. Fiji, just to remind you, started off in fine style last weekend, beating South Africa 52 points to 6, and then Mohammed at Central Park in midweek against England, 46 points to 0. Action underway, and Australia in possession. Move the ball forward. That's going to be surely their plan of attack, to get it up to the other end of the field as quickly as possible. Driving in there now with Larson. First touch, of course, in his first game. Certainly impressive in the State of Origin matches, and something of a surprise he was left out of the squad. The Fijian tackling there is absolutely superb.
Well, this is what you'll see with the Fijians. They obviously can't afford to let Australia run with the ball, because if you notice last week against South Africa, Australia ran from deep and scored a lot of points from long distance.
Well, that's Brad Fittler put in a field kick, which is well taken by the Fijian fullback, Subadata Boa. And Australia moving up very quickly indeed. The early moments are going to be crucial. Australia, an easy victory for them in midweek, of course, against South Africa. But it's Fiji in possession, just outside their own 20-metre line. They're bringing the ball away pretty comfortably and being roared on by an enthusiastic crowd here. That's a prop forward, Nako Mbumba, who drives it out again. And here come the big men. Take it down this left centre channel. And they've certainly got some big men.
Well, there's some big men, but it's going to be interesting to see how Fiji play against Australia, because really, the game against England, they came away from the match absolutely shell-shocked, Fiji.
We're in possession on the far side of the field, and we're up to the last tackle signalled by Eddie Ward, the referee, and that's well, it was a dreadful pass, but something might come of it for Australia. And back there, that's good recovery. And they almost got something from nothing there, the Fijians.
Yes, and what you've got to see there is just a little bit of a elding down on Brad Fittler. That was a good take, but having said that, the Fijians are like nothing in, trying things. They'll be keeping the ball alive, they'll be running with the ball, they support the man with the ball. They just play a different style totally to Australia.
And they're certainly going to have the backing of the crowd, I think, as well.
Well, the underdogs in this competition have not lacked support.
Mark Carroll drives it in. He's set up a good field position here for Australia. And they move up quickly across that line. Jeff Tuvey, bit of a doubt about his fitness leading up to kick-off. But here come the Aussies. Make it just to the edge of that Fijian 20-metre line. Fiji tackling's pretty good, although a good offload there as Australia move the ball forward very quickly indeed.
And it's noticeable, Jack, also that they've brought Gary Larson into the match as quickly as possible. He's just had a 26-hour plane flight from Australia, so they know he'll not be as fit as what he should be.
Well, Fiji's back in possession, and that was an unforced error, really, from the Australian. And the referee...
But I think
no, he isn't happy.
I think what you saw here, I think the ball was actually knocked out of Brad Fickler's hand by one of the Fijians, and I think that was a good decision, because that, although the crowd are booing about it, they don't like it, that was actually given by the touch judge. If you notice, the touch judge has got his flag up. He did notice that there was a Fijian hand in there. Quite right.
It's head and ball for Australia at the moment. Round the base of that scrum, Tuvey. Good delivery across as well, which comes to Fittler. Australia moving out wide. There's maybe a chance if they can get the ball back inside, but good defensive work from the Fijians, but Australia still pressing. Brett Dallas just inside that 20-metre area. Change of direction, which came from Tuvey. Still danger here for Fiji. Australia now just a couple of metres from that Fijian try line. An early pressure now for Fiji to withstand as it comes across again, and if they can get the ball out quickly, and they have done. Picked up by the fullback Tim Brasher. Well, that was a pretty good and useful interception there.
Yes, if you notice, Australia reaching the ball out wide, doing a lot of dummy runs and supporting the man with the ball.
Well, there's some smart handling as well as Brasher hands it over to Tuvey, thrown out wide to this right-hand side, and we could have the first points of the afternoon. It's Brett Dallas. It was a pretty simple try in the end. The Fijian defence was stretched wide, and there we've got the opening score as predicted. Australia off, up and running.
Yes, and if you look at this, Brett Dallas, who never actually got on the scoring sheet against South Africa, he never got a pass. He tried his heart out to score a try. Here we have Brad Fittler just turning the ball back inside here, keeping the ball alive, the Australians. That's great play. Johns took that in Brasher. Tuvey, no problem. Just moves the ball out, and he liked this actually, because it's took him a long time to get on the score sheets. Very, very good try indeed.
Some very impressive handling as well. There was one superb pass coming up here, I think, which came out of the back of somebody's hand. We're not going to see that, but we see the try again. And it's well taken, and that's great start for the young winger.
Well, it is a good try, but also, if you notice, Andrew Johns was in there, and it's very, very important that he gets involved in this game. He's a number 7, he's not a natural number 9, but he's got such a good pair of hands. He could be a bonus for Australia.
Well, another bonus perhaps coming up, because he's trusted with the responsibility of adding on the extra points from the conversion. Pretty difficult, as you can see, just a yard in from that touchline. Not many Australians in the crowd, but that's not a bad effort. In fact, that's a superb kick which came in from Andrew Johns. Really good, and you could see what he's trying to do. He curled it round, and he struck it really well. Well,
there we have the try scorer, but also Andrew Johns. I did say that this guy could be a bonus. Whether he can do the hooking position, only time will tell, but his actual ball skill, did you see that? A beautiful little flick out the back door there. Great support play by Australia. Brett Dallas, he never gets too many chances in this tour, on this England trip, but this is a very, very good try. Just watch this. Takes it well, knows where he's going to go, he knows he's got the legs, he just pushes him off, and that's a very, very good try indeed.
Australia ahead then, 6 points to 0. Looking as though it could be a long, hard 80 minutes or so for the Fijians. Here come Australia again with Mark Carroll. Drives it in, and it's a good deep line out as well from the Aussies. They're into the stride already with that early score from Dallas. And already making inroads down the centre of the field, just inside that Fijian half. Whack out, a good change of direction there. That came from Andrew Johns, who's already, Alex, looking as though he's going to be the playmaker.
Yes, he's a magnificent pair of hands, and he keeps the ball alive. He's a little halfback, and don't forget about halfbacks. They like getting involved where there's most ructions going on, and I think he's going to be a massive bonus for Australia.
And it's the Aussies again down that left-hand side now. Maybe an opportunity created, but Fiji in possession. Just about the loudest cheer so far of the afternoon.
And here we also have a problem with the two centres. There's a lot of pressure on these two centres, Mike Coyne and Terry Hill. They've got to produce the goods today, because McGregor had a magnificent game against South Africa. There's a lot of pressure on the guys.
And it's Fiji who are trying to ease the pressure now. They bring the ball away from the danger area, if you like, just outside the 20-metre mark. Australia move up very quickly indeed. It'd be great to see some open rugby if the Fijis can get a bit of confidence and start throwing the ball around.
I think what the Fijians have to do is kind of hope that they get some scraps from the table, because I've got to be honest, I can't see Australia giving them too many chances.
Well, they're inside the Australian half for the first time in the game. That's Philomona's Siru, who made that bit of a jinking, twisting run, and here they come again. They'll feel better having got that far down the pitch. Let's see what they can produce. They've got a good field position here. And Aussies are moving up very quickly indeed. Eddie Ward, the referee, having a quick look at that and a close look at that as well. That's Tubi though, and that's good work from the scrum half. He spotted, I think, what the Fijian was trying to do there.
Yes, he actually thought, well, he's going to come on top of me very, very quickly, and Jeff Tubi is a very, very experienced player. He's a great competitor, and he took a knock in the back there. That was a very, very hard tackle. I think he just got the knees in the middle of the back, and I think if you see Tubi, he's in a little bit of pain.
Well, it was a bit of a gamble leading up to kick-off, whether or not he actually started this game. He has done. Maybe he's regretting it now. Australia move the ball, meanwhile, down the centre of the field, and there's Tubi having some treatment, but Australia continue, of course, so too does the game. The odds of the game with Dean Pay, midway between the halfway line and the Fijian 20-metre line. Last tackle signalled by the referee Ward, and that's not a particularly good one from Fittler. Fiji should get possession. They didn't on the last tackle, remember, so here comes the possession now for Fiji, and they slipped, and Australia caught offside. And I've noticed one or two of the players, Alex, having a problem keeping the balance on this. It's a bit of a tricky surface.
Well, it is actually, but there's Brad Fittler doing his football skills. I think he'd be better playing in the local derby match, you know, rather. I think Bobby Fulton would have rather him put that out of play, but I think he played for the kick back off the Fijian forward.
Penalty taken quickly by the Fijians. They're going to find it difficult to penetrate this well-drilled Australian defence, but they're doing the best to move the ball now down the centre of the field. To stand off Hart, Nakayugu plays it quickly. Across it goes again. I think they've got to try and move the ball a bit quicker if it's possible. They certainly don't like any determination and effort, the Fijians. Give a real bonus to this 1995 Rugby League World Cup. Long pass thrown out there, and that's better. They've got to take one or two chances. Here they come again now with Teru down the left-hand side. But unfortunately, Alex, they haven't made a lot of progress.
Well, I think what you've got to notice about Australia, and it could be very, very interesting for Bobby Fulton, he realised that England kept the Fijians to nil, kept the score sheet clean, and I think Bobby Fulton will not want to give England any advantage. He'll say, go out there, nil them.
Well, England did. And that's what Australia are doing so far this afternoon. 6-0 for the world champions. Still in the early stages. That looks like a forward pass.
I don't think you need to be told what that was. There might be 6,000 or 7,000 neutral supporters here, are supposed to be unbiased, but just listen to this for the call. That was about half a yard forward, and every spectator on the ground let Ernie Ward know that it was.
And he gave it. And it's a scrum. Best position so far in the whole game for the Fijians. They get the ball again around that left centre channel. The scrum breaks up quickly. And again, they prefer to take it down this side. Nakayubuma. Good tackling, though, being done by Australia. Across it comes again, that line. Got to move it quickly, though. Try and create the overlap. Bit of handling skills that you won't find in the coaching manual, but it paid off in the end.
I think one thing you will get from the Fijians, they'll keep the ball alive, and they are prepared to run with the ball. I just worry a little bit whether they've got the penetration to break the Australian defence down.
And of course, the third game inside a week for the Fijians, as it is for the Australians as well. But here comes Fiji now, and there's still possession. And that's pretty simple and straightforward for Australia to take it up. And that's a problem that Fiji have got.
Yes, and I think what Australia will be trying to do is hit Fiji on the break and hit him from long distances, because when they played England, they looked a little bit vulnerable from far out. And I think Australia, they've got a lot of class, and they want to see some people supporting the man with the ball.
We've seen Mark Carroll marauding forward at the moment. That man, Andrew John, in that acting half-back position, plays it out quickly. Support's good as well. That's Gary Larson.
He's the workhorse, Jack, in the side. He's the guy everybody will be looking to do 90% of the work.
Well, he's come over here with a big reputation. Was that a trip? it was, but the referee deemed it to be accidental. We're on the last tackle. And there's the bomb, which goes up high as well from Fittler. Fiji are under it, and well, they dropped it, and that's going to be a try for Australia. They're in again at the far corner. It's the opposite winger this time, Robbie O'Davis, and it was a gift.
Well, that was just one of the things what happened against England. They were very, very vulnerable with high balls, and Robbie O'Davis, a great kick again on the last tackle, which is very, very important. And if you notice, every time they put high balls up against England, there was a try scored. Just a great support play. Fittler, a lovely eye ball here, just keeps his eye on the ball. Watch the support play from the Australian lads. Fijian looks a little bit vulnerable. He's in a bit of trouble here. Robbie O'Davis can't believe his luck. Picks it up, line at his mercy. Good try.
Well, it was a good one, but it was a gift, and Fiji will be very, very disappointed.
But just watch the kick. This is one of the ploys that Australia used very, very well. Fittler pressurised the man who's receiving the ball. Terry Hill actually stood up him, and I don't think the Fijian coach will be too happy about that. Good try.
Well, it was Nadruka who made the mistake, but he was under some pressure, and of course Fiji don't play the game to the intensity. They're not used to this intense pressure, are they?
Well, not really. They play the basketball type of rugby league, you know. They like enjoying it, and it's not as serious as what these guys take it.
Here comes a conversion effort, but not successful, Andrew Johns, on that particular occasion. But a 10 points advantage and fairly comfortable after 13 minutes.
Yes, and it is important to both sides, actually. I think Fiji again here we see a Brad Fittler. This is a very, very good kick. It's in the right position. It gives the Australians enough time to get down there. It's a bad miss, actually, and Robbie O'Davis. These guys don't miss these chances.
The two wingers off to flyers then. The two early try scorers, both wingers, Brett Dallas and Robbie O'Davis. And the Fijians, maybe a touch dispirited. The first try, well created, some slick handling. Well, that second one, well, you just can't afford to make mistakes like that, especially at this stage of a major World Cup competition. Carroll again, who's done a lot of the early running as well for Australia.
This fella's a very, very big fella. He's a big man, he's a strong man. He takes the ball forward, and you'll probably see Larson, you know, just doing the other parts of the work. But Australia, this is where they'll be looking to it, Fiji, on the break from long distance out.
Suvi seems to have recovered from that earlier knock he picked up. And there's Larson again. The two-man Fijian welcoming committee wrap him up, but Australia move it quickly again. Terry Hill still darting forward. And at the moment, Fiji just can't get any type of consistent possession. As Australia, well, that was luck. The referee comes in, Eddie Ward spotted something, and he's given a penalty. No, he's given a scrum.
Well, I think he's given a scrum because there was a knock on. It wasn't the best ball in the world, you know. I think they've been far better if they just controlled the ball and had a quick play of the ball. But it might have been the sixth tackle, and Eddie Ward had no option but to give a scrum down.
And Australia have a little bit of tackling to do, because Fiji, what they haven't done so far, of course, is control the possession for the full six tackles.
No, and I think if it had caught him with that, I think it'd have been back in Fiji.
Well, here they come. Maybe that will give them a bit of encouragement. The second row forward drives it in now. Nakatsuge.
Yes, and I think he looks a little bit annoyed about that, Rakatuvi. He's not too happy about it. He's got a penalty. Just watch him after the tackle. There's a little bit of lying on there by Jeff Tuvey. You've got to roll away. You've got to get away and let the man play the ball. Tuvey's all over him like a rash.
Penalty to Fiji, and they're going for the two-pointer.
And it's unusual, this, isn't it? Because against England last week, they had the same opportunity. Didn't kick for goal. Today, they don't want to be nilled. 2 points against Australia is worth a fortune.
Providing, of course, he kicks it. I think he wants a new ball. No, he doesn't. He wants some sand. Well, a bit of confusion at the moment.
Yes, it's very unusual that the boys are not on with the sand, because that's they're very, very official here. Well, I don't think they expect the full-back to bring it on. Surely there must be ball boys about somewhere to bring the sand on for this lad to kick a goal. And he doesn't look as though he's got Mitch.
Well, it's not particularly difficult. It's going to be the standoff. Nakayulu, who's trying to get 2 points on the board for Fiji. All came about, of course, with Suvi lying on in the tackle, and the referee spotted it immediately. You just can't do that now in modern-day rugby
No,
league.
and if you listen to our right-hand side, we have got the Fijian male voice choir.
Well, they might be singing shortly. And it's going to be the loudest cheer of the afternoon, one suspects so far, if he kicks it. And it comes. Not the best technique in the world, and drags it wide of the near upright.
No, and I don't think there'll be too much singing after that kick. It was a dreadful effort. But it's noticeable that the supporters and the spectators, there's one of the Australians just come on with a water bottle, and he was actually booed for giving instructions and very little water to the players.
10 points to 0. Action restarted. Fiji in possession. That was a fullback, Savatabua. And they do like to run with the ball, don't they?
Yes, they're big, strong lads. And like I said, they enjoy playing rugby league. I don't think they've got all the finesse in the world, but they certainly love it when they've got the ball in their hands.
Well, I'm just glad I'm not trying to tackle them and stop them, because it is taking the Aussie players maybe 2 and 3 men to prevent any real progress and danger being created.
Well, if you have a look at the size of some of these lads, there's a lad of Bobby Fulton. He'll be very, very serious all the way through this game, even though his side is 10-0 up.
Ever seen him smile?
Yes, he's a good mate of mine, Bobby. A lot of people don't get on with him, but he's all right.
He is at the moment, because his team, the world champions Australia, are 10 points to the good against Fiji here in Huddersfield. And that's a pity that the ball and the final delivery didn't come out to the winger, Cavalati, because that could have created a running opportunity. Instead, it's been wasted.
It's interesting to see when the Fijians get the ball, when they put it in one hand, it just looks like a boiled egg. It's just massive hands these guys have got, and they just keep it alive. They love running with the ball. And here we've got 2 little Fijians running around the corner flag. I think this is local support gone a little bit mad.
Well, they haven't had a lot to cheer about so far. They've had a lot of defensive work to do, and there's that man again, who's been outstanding in the early stages for Australia. Mark Carroll striding forward pretty majestically. And Australia moving the ball very quickly now round to play the ball. There could be danger here for Fiji. Good tackle in the end, though. Again, that second row forward, Daikatuga. Tim Brashley, the fullback, having an exchange of words and a bit of a difference of opinion.
Yes, I think Daikatuga, if we see it, just dragged the ball away. Ernie Ward definitely stopped that, and also drawn to the attention. Just watch him as he gets the ball here. Brasher's got the ball. He wants to get up and play it quickly. No intention whatsoever to allow him to get up. He just rakes the ball out, and that is a penalty.
Well, perhaps they're not as naive as we were saying then, Alex. Here come Australia, though, and again, pressure on this Fijian defence. And expect another quick attack, particularly around that play the ball area. Tuvi throws a good ball out. That's Fittler. He's got support as well. It's a 4-pointer surely for Australia. They're in again. It's Steve Menzies, I think, the scorer. Crowd are not happy.
Well, I think the crowd are not happy because he didn't think he grounded the ball, but I think when we look at the replay, I think you'll find out that Steve Menzies did get the ball down. It took him a while to get it down, but it definitely did get the ball down. But it's a try for Australia, and if you look where the try came from again, it was a beautiful ball of Brad Fittler. Turvey's got the ball, he turns the ball back inside. A lovely long ball out here. Just watch Fittler. He knows that Menzies will be running onto that gap and running into that over the line. Now watch. Definitely gets the ball down, and definitely a try. Here we have Fittler again. Beautiful support play from Menzies. This guy set the record in Australia, and that is definitely a try.
It certainly is. It's been given by the referee Ward as well, and an opportunity for Andrew Johns now to tag on the extras from the conversion. No doubt about it. That is a try for Steve Menzies. And it should be within Andrew Johns' capabilities, this conversion. He's missed it.
Well, Jack, I think Andrew Johns will not be too pleased about that. He is an excellent goal kicker. He's kicked a magnificent goal from the first goal, and really he's missed 2 simple kicks. It just shows you it's not an easy job when you put that ball on a pile of sand. This is great play from Fittler. Look at Menzies' support play. He's a great forward, this lad. He knows when Fittler's got the ball, there's always a chance of a try.
And he took the opportunity to stretch the Australian advantage to 14 points to 0.
He broke the try-scoring record in Australia this year. This fella's probably one of the most exciting young forwards that is in the world.
Well, they seem to be getting a head of steam up, and I've been very impressed with the man in possession right now, Mark Carroll, and here come the Aussies again, streaking away. There could be more points in the offing here for Australia. Lovely backhanded pass, but they've spilled possession, or have they? Play on, says the referee Ward. Tuvey pounces on it, and it was almost disaster for Fiji.
Yes, and did you notice who was in support again? Menzies again. Every time there's a break, he's there.
Here's Fittler. Can't offload the ball. Good tackle in the end, which came from Davitalula. The Aussies, though, prepared to take a gamble, and there's one that didn't come off. Now Laggy with possession for Fiji. It's with the winger who made that dreadful mistake, remember, for the second try, Nadruka. Might feel a touch more confident about things after having the possession.
Yes, I think if you notice the difference between the Australians and the Fijians is they play the ball. The Australians is about 5 seconds quicker than the Fijians when they play the ball, and that makes a big difference in professional rugby league.
Penalty to Fiji.
I think he doesn't need to tell you which side the crowd's on, does it? I think he's having a word, Ernie Ward. Every time he gives a decision here, just watch this. A little bit of gamemanship here from the little halfback. Leave go.
Well, it's set up the best position that Fiji have had for some time. And Australia, bit of defensive work for them to do, bit of practice perhaps. If Fiji can move the ball quickly though, the crowd are practically, oh, he's up in the air there. That's the other winger, Cavallati. But
Yep.
if they can move the ball quickly and get some running opportunities, the crowd would love it.
Oh, they would love it, but also you'd have to think that Bobby Fulton would expect Australians to, in this position, use this as a practice match where the tackling's concerned, because he knows that whatever Fiji throw at him, they've got to be able to hold him out.
Won't be a motivation problem there then for the Aussies.
I wouldn't think so. I think the Australians have got enough problems of their own. They're not too happy at this moment in time. They were shell-shocked with the defeat of England at Wembley. Some of the performances have not been out of the top draw.
Well, no real problem so far for Australia. And here they come again. They've had an absolute load of possession. They've completely dominated from the start of the game.
Yes, and this is the type of play they like doing. They don't like being put under a lot of pressure, and when they do, there is a tendency to make mistakes. Don't forget, this is also a new Australian side.
And it's the fullback for the Fijians, Tavatubua. They like to give the long passes out. I'm not too sure if that's particularly advisable in your own 20-metre area, Alex.
No, they're very, they love running with the ball. They love keeping the ball alive. And really, I think when they go back to Fiji, they'll go back and say, we've learned a lot from this trip.
Well, that's what it's all about. Maybe a learning experience for the Fijians. Not had any real running opportunities so far. Maybe they can create one now. They look a bit void of ideas at the moment. It's Australia. We're moving up very, very quickly. We're on the last tackle. The kick comes in from the hooker, Sagatatu. Brasher had to think twice. Eventually made the right decision. And he moved up quickly. That's a good tackle from Seru.
Yes, and I think if there is a problem with Brasher, he had a nightmare of a game at Wembley against England. He does allow the ball to bounce, and you know, in rugby league, you definitely should not allow the ball to bounce.
Well, encouraging moment for Fiji. Two very good tackles. That's high.
Well,
and Dimmock doesn't like it.
No, I'm not surprised he doesn't like it. This was very, very high indeed. I mean, they're such big men, the Fijians, and when they tackle, you know, they don't draw back. Have a look how high this is. This is high. Oh, he'll not want two of them in a week.
He won't want two in a game. That is high.
And
it's
not
the
only
drop forward.
And when it's coming from a guy who's 6'8", he really means it. He's a big, big man.
Nakambuwal. Well, he's given a penalty to Australia. Perhaps a touch lucky that no further punishment was administered.
Yes, he could have spent 10 minutes in the sin bin, but Ernie Ward a little bit lenient.
There's Carroll again. Set up a very good field position again for Australia. Right in front of the post. Tuvey misses out the first man. Menzies is there. Can he offload? He's wrapped up by some good Fijian tackling, but they've got to keep on top of this tackling situation because, in fairness, Australia now beginning to look dangerous every single time they get into that 20-metre area.
And I think
here they are again.
Dangerous. This is definitely when Fittler gets the ball in his hands, the runners look for a gap, he puts him in the gap, and normally there is a try.
Brasher. Fittler striding, Fittler looks for support, does he need it? Can he reach? He's only an inch short.
Well, he had enough goals there, doesn't he? But it just shows you what a good player this Fittler is. He's a world-class player.
4 points for Australia, simple in the end. Has he given it? He looks at the in-goal touch judges, and he's given it. It's Terry Hill. And it was a planned move, I think. Slotted it through.
But it's just a variation of play again. You see Australia, when you play a side like this, they've got so many ploys, they've got so many ways to do things. And this is just a simple little kick, a grubber kick through the line, a beautiful, the Fijians are lying flat. Again, it's a little half-back, Johns who does it. Terry Hill sees the ball, drops on it and thanks. I like that, yeah. That's quite good. Again, but just look at the little chip. This is the one that splits the defence, holds the ball, lovely little grubber kick. Terry Hill, plenty time, and just pops it down.
Two of the Fijians there expecting the pass, of course. That gave him the perfect opportunity.
But again, where it comes from, you see, Andrew Johns, who is a natural ball player, he's got a half-back's brain playing in a number 9 shirt.
Well, that's the advantage, of course, and a lot of people say now that you don't need a recognised hooker.
Well, I don't think all the players' union had said that, the hookers. I think they would definitely not agree with that. They're a very, very strict plan.
Conversion comes in from Andrew Johns. And that time he's kicked it. Well, a bit of inconsistency, but it's the second of the game for Andrew Johns. He kicked 11 in Australia's win in midweek. And he's not been too consistent, but it takes Australia into that 20 mark. They're ahead 20 points to nil, 4 tries, 2 conversions. What is it about goal kickers?
Well, it's important, but just look at the little chip again. That's the most important thing. What he's given him another section of play which he didn't have. The guy is a world-class player. He's a great little player. It's his first trip, and he'll be pleased to be playing in this kind of competition so early in his career.
Well, they had men over in the end there, Australia. Any one of 2 players, I think, could have scored it. In the end, it was Terry Hill. And the try's been shared out.
Yes, and I think, again, what Bobby Fulton will be looking for here is not only for the players to get to the feel of the game, he'll want them to be pleased what they're doing. He's finding it very difficult to select his side.
Well, Australia, and that man Menzies, who you picked out, causing havoc down that left wing. Strong challenge which came in from the fullback.
Yeah, he's some kind of a forward, this fella, isn't he? He's got pace, and he not only can score tries, he can also make tries.
Well, it's turning into a bit of a romp for Australia at the moment. They've got players over whichever direction on the field they go in. Here they come again. Made it just to the edge of that 20-metre.
Yeah, and that's one thing, Jack, you can't afford to let these guys do. You can't afford to run them with the ball. They're absolutely lethal when they've got the ball in their hands.
And it literally is turning into a bit of a training session at the moment. 20-0 to Australia here at Huddersfield, the McAlpine Stadium, which hosts, of course, one of the 2 semi-finals next week. There's Brasher inside again. That's Dimmock. The support wasn't there, I don't think. He still managed to offload it. That's a tremendous pass, but a knock-on. Fiji in possession. I think the referee... Oh, he's waved it clear! Well...
Well, I think the crowd will let you know what they thought of that. That was definitely a knock-on, and something that Fiji could have done without, because it absolutely gave Australia 6 more tackles, when I think that should have been the handover.
Brasher, Fittler, Carroll.
And I think the crowd are letting the referee what they think about that decision. It didn't look too good. And
so easy, and they're in again. Robbie O'Davis is second of the game. Well, quite frankly, that was an appalling error from the referee, surely.
Well, it was a mistake. I think he thought that it touched somebody else. It was a split decision. The guy had to give it. He's actually disallowed the try, so maybe he's made up for that, because this looked, again, a lovely ball from Johns. He's give a forward pass. And maybe that's a tone for the mistake what happened earlier, because it definitely looked a knock-on to me, and he's disallowed that try.
Well, if that's what he's done, I think it's a good decision. I think he's realised he's made a mistake, maybe, and looked possibly to level it up a little bit, maybe.
Well, I don't think he levels things up, because this fella is a really high-class referee. He's a very, very good referee, this fella, and if he makes a mistake, he's human, and it happens in rugby league, but he has put it right.
Substitutes on for Fiji, Masuru. So we stay at 20 points to nil for Australia. And Fiji finding it tough here at the McAlpine Stadium.
I think the Fijians, Jack, really will have to start trying 1 or 2 different ploys. It's simple, it's predictable, and really everything Australia have to do is just move up in a line.
Well, they've got some possession. Can they make a break on the halfway line? There they go. The support is good. It's a fullback who was involved in the action a little bit earlier, but it's the last tackle. What can they produce? It's the bomb which came from the standoff half, Nakalua. It's up in the air, Australia back in possession, crowd aren't happy, but Australia looking very comfortable at the moment. A good interchange of passes there, Brasher throws it out, it's a long one, well taken in the end by Dallas. Scampers forward.
I think we can slightly say that the home crowd is slightly biased, but every time Fiji run with the ball, no matter what they do, there's a great cheer. But Australia will not be caught with that. They're a very, very professional side. It might just encourage the Australians that little bit more.
Well, it can work that way. And another player who's been outstanding for me as well, Carroll, always available. He's really been and done some great work there for Australia. Fittler can't get the ball out. Fiji surround him quickly.
No, and I think what you've got to do with Fittler, if you've got to stop him, you've got to close him down very, very quickly.
Tuvik. The big men come up quickly as well. That's Dimmock. The offload is well taken in the end by the hooker, Andrew Johns. A chance perhaps as well. Terry Hill. That was a knock-on. The line was gaping. Hill saw visions of a second try.
And believe me, I think if Terry Hill had read the game here, I know he wasn't expecting it, but all professional players should really expect this. It's a beautiful little flick here, unexpected, and Terry Hill just takes his eye off the ball.
Were Australia trying to be a bit too clever there?
Well, Bobby Fulton will not be too happy about that, but they probably say, well, when you get things like that, let's try something different. It's definitely not Australia what Australia expects, but it's something that didn't work.
Can Fiji get some points on the board? Of course, that's got to be a question which will be answered in the game. Nilled against England, and a massive percentage in favour of Australia. 68% of the possession literally tells its own story.
Yes, I think so. Fiji look very, very predictable indeed, and I think the thing Bobby Fulton will be worried about is that Australia not creating more chances because they're putting the ball down in very, very good scoring positions.
And here come Fiji again. They just can't really find any gaps on the field. They might find one now. Brasher is there. He read it brilliantly there, Tim Brasher. He did well for Australia because if he hadn't have taken that ball, the winger, Nadruka, could have been in with a chance.
Yes, I think so, and I think he got a little bit of a knock on when he took that ball. It was a very, very brave decision to do, and Brasher, obviously, when he's coming forward the ball, he's magnificent. Obviously put his job on the line there.
Dimmock in possession for Australia. Been a touch. There's Brasher, who's limping heavily after that last challenge, and I'm hardly surprised. It was good play from Brasher, but he's suffering from the consequences now at the moment, and Fiji might be as well as Australia stride forward again with Coyne. Johns could have players over here. A high tackle, was it? Chest high, said the referee. Crowd like that one.
Well, I think everything that Fiji do, this crowd will support. I think if they shot somebody in the street, they'd support him. This is tremendous play from Fiji, but Australia again, keeping the ball alive, just putting pressure on Fiji.
They've got to come up with some inspiration from somewhere, Fiji, if they're going to turn this game around. That's a bit too much weight on the pass.
Oh dear. Well, I don't think,
kick, rather.
No, I don't think Brad Fittler will be too happy about that. His facial expression will tell you that he is not the happiest guy on this field.
I'm not convinced about the Australian performance totally so far, Alex. I think it's been a bit scrappy, and I don't think Bobby Fulton will be too pleased. It looks a bit disjointed to me.
Well, I told you before the game started, the problem that Bobby's having is he's not got players who are hitting the form. These are world-class players, and it must be very, very difficult when you've brought 25 players over and they're not producing that kind of form.
Been a touch disappointed in Dimmock so far as well. It's early days, of course, but he came in with a big reputation. Hasn't produced it so far.
Yes, and that's going to be the problem for when he gets to the later stages. What kind of a side, and whether it's the right side or not.
Here come Fiji, the slip on the surface. Yakalu, the standoff half. And the crowd will urge them on to try and get that running opportunity. There's going to be the loudest cheer ever in Huddersfield if they do get a try.
I think the way the game's going at the moment, I think that Fiji are very, very lucky if they get past, the Australians. It'll be a little bit of complacency. The crowd would love a try. I think the game actually deserves a try for the Fijians, but Australia, they're just doing the basics. They're not looking too excited, actually.
No, they're going through the motions. They're doing a professional job, but there's not a lot of polish about it at the moment. Maybe they can put that right now. They stride forward again, and one or two of the Fijians are beginning to look a little bit tired and jaded, as Australia again make inroads towards that Fijian try line. And there's Dimmock just to prove me wrong into the action. High tackle, carry on, said the referee. Hill might be in, he's lost the ball. And all credit to Fiji there. They got round him in numbers and they've managed to come up with the ball as well.
Yes, I think that was Brett Dallas actually who went over there. We have a very distinguished guest, John Money from Auckland Warriors, sat in the stand. I wonder what he's thinking about this game.
Well, he is an Australian. He doesn't look too happy, but as we've seen before with Bobby Fulton, of course, he's not too happy either.
Yeah, I think what happened there, I think one of the Fiends might have just knocked that out of Terry Hale's hands, and that could have been actually a scrum to Australia.
Well, it's Fiji with possession. Perhaps now we'll see them on the move down that right-hand side, but they just can't control it. Referee says play on. Maybe a touch of fortune there from the referee, but they've dropped it now, and that won't be play on. Yes, it will. Australia back in possession. It's going to be a scrum, and it's all very untidy. Well,
it's a little bit scrappy, actually, and like I said before, I think the Australians can't be too happy about this, because although Fiji are keeping this ball alive, it's very, very untidy football. I mean, even there we have a chance where Australia could have picked that ball up. They don't look as though they're very, very confident in everything they're doing.
They've got possession again. Massive advantage, of course, possession-wise, and that could be a try. It's a great try as well. Perhaps the best we've seen. Set-piece move. Brasher spotted the little grubber kick, chip kick over the defence, and he's in for a 4-pointer.
Well, I think this, thinking-wise, 10 out of 10. Just have a look who the guy is again. There's no problem about it. Brad Fittler, a beautiful chip on the first tackle. Brasher knew that this move was on. It's a thing he'd practice in training. This is a brilliant little chip. Just pops it over. Brasher's already on the move. Takes it in full stride. Doesn't even have to stop to break sweat. That is an absolute magnificent try.
Well, it looked simple, but the execution was absolutely superb.
Just look at the chip and have a look where Brasher is. He knows all he's got to do. Keep your eye on the ball, and everything else will happen. Great try.
And what's going to happen now is another 2 points, presumably, from right in front. It'll be his third conversion of the afternoon, and it's not a problem, as it shouldn't be, from right in front of the post. And a real problem, though, now for Fiji.
Well, it's going to be very important what Mr. Murray says at half-time, because he's going to take one hell of a job to pick these guys up at half-time. They look as though they've lost all the confidence. They've been flattened by England, but look at this for a little chip. A beautiful little chip. Brasher's already on the move, takes it in full flight, no problems, simplest, looks easy, but that is very technical.
It looks better and better, the try, every time we see it. But the scoreline's going worse, I'm afraid, for Fiji. 26 points to nil now, their trail. And I fear the worst as well, perhaps, in the second half, when maybe the tiredness of playing 3 games in a week. Let's not forget that as well. It's a tough task.
Oh, it's a big, tough task. But having said that, I think Bobby Fulton at half-time will say to some of these lads, look, we can do better than that. Let's rattle the points up. Let's keep the ball alive, and let's start playing like we can play.
Tuvi. Fittler. That's the winger who's going down the centre of the field at the moment. Brett Dallas. Dimmock, lovely ball thrown out to the centre, Mark Coyne. And again, a misplaced pass from Australia.
Did you see that for a little bit of class with Johns? He knows it's on the 6th tackle.
And Fiddler's made the breakthrough here. It's the race is on. And the supporting player is going to get another 4-pointer, which will be turned into 6. It's Menzies for his second. And again, Fittler with a superbly judged kick.
And that is a unique occasion. That try was actually scored when the Uter had gone. But they're allowed to play on, keep the ball alive, because you can only when the ball goes dead. But again, Australia kept the ball alive, and that's what they're good at. A beautiful little chip again on the 6th tackle. Keep the ball alive, plenty hands, plenty support. All of a sudden, it comes inside. It's beautiful football play. Some horrendous tackling from Fiji. Ball moved out. Again, a bad pass. Nothing there, nothing on. Move ball back inside. Watch this. This is cheekiness at its highest level. There's no doubt about that from Johns. This is where it all happens. Keep the ball alive. What about this for a little chip? And who is he again? Mr. Fittler. To his prime scorer, Mr. Menzies. That must be the double act of the year.
Well, it certainly is so far at the McAlpine Stadium, and that's a 4th goal as well for Andrew Johns. And Australia romping away with it at half-time here at the McAlpine Stadium. I don't think there'll be any way back for Fiji.
No, none whatsoever, but that's a great try.
Half-time score then, Australia set for victory. Australia 32, Fiji 0. That's the McAlpine Stadium in Huddersfield, and what a game it's been in the first half as far as Australia are concerned. Massive advantage of 32 points to 0, and we've been treated at half-time to some spectacular tribal dancing, I think, Alex.
Yes, and there's lots of different players in this ground. Them two little lads have actually done more laps of this ground than the Huddersfield Rugby League Football Club. They've lapped this ground about 15 times, them kids, and it's been great entertainment for the crowd. But it's going to be interesting what happens now in this second half. What Graham Murray said to the Fijians. How's he going to lift him? I know what Bobby Fulton have said to the Australians. Look, let's get it together. We're still not as polished as what we should be. Let's see can we get it right.
Well, Australia in that first half scored 6 tries. Brett Dallas, Robbie O'Davis, 2 for Steve Menzies, who's been outstanding for the Aussies in the opening 40. Terry Hill and Tim Brasher, the other try scorers. Andrew Johns kicking 4 goals, 32-0 as we prepare to restart the action here in Huddersfield. And it's gone the way I think we've perhaps expected so far in the game. And that's just the start that Fiji didn't want.
Yes, and you can see the disappointment there. There's no doubt about it. That was a very, very bad mistake. Straight from the kick-off, something that Fiji definitely didn't want. And to put Australia straight back on the attack when, obviously, Fiji didn't want that.
Malakaki Yassab, who made the mistake, and Australia immediately beginning to boil and bubble. The first attack of the second half, and it could bring points for them. Fiji look terribly disorganised defensively at the moment, and Australia again moved the ball out towards that right wing area. It's with Larson, brought in, of course, or brought over from Australia about 48 hours ago. And Australia, well, the dummy didn't work on that occasion. Fiji now get back to guard that try line, but it looks again as though they could be under pressure in the early stages. Brasher linked up, didn't get the ball. Second time of asking it came.
Yes, and again, that's a bit sloppy play from Australia. They've actually lost ground with that, and that's what they're not like.
Terry Hill trying to find a route through. Last tackle signalled by the referee. And it's Australia again looking pretty dangerous, and is that a chance for Fiji to break? Well, the referee said play on. Fiji in possession. And I think it's the standoff half who's perhaps been one of the better players, Alex, Naya Kula.
Yes, Naya Kula did well there. He just took the ball back. But see, basic mistakes again. You cannot afford to make them when you're playing a side like Australia.
Well, every time they get possession, they lose it very, very quickly.
And 9 times out of 10, they're punished for that mistake because Australia, although they're not doing it quite as well as they would like to do, in this position, the most dangerous.
Mark Carroll. And certainly there's danger now for Fiji as Australia beginning to get their act together. They've only just played just about 2 minutes in the second half. Tuve switches the angle and the direction of the play. Turned back inside again. Dimmock on the charge. Can he offload? There's nobody there. I think it went a touch wrong there for Australia. But still, was that a knock-on? Surely a knock-on. Well, we'll maybe have to see it again in a moment. The referee eventually brought it back, and that was a knock-on.
Well, I think we'll see on the replay that Ernie Ward, I know he doesn't have to wait to be told what it is. It's a knock-on, it's definitely a knock-on, and it's really bad from Andrew. Well, it wasn't Andrew Johns, actually, I apologise. But it was a mistake, and again, another mistake in a scoring position.
Well, the scrums, as you can see, Fiji have won 5, Australia 3, but that's not the score. The important thing is the scoreline of 32-0. And that's in favour of the world champions. But Fiji still sticking to the task at the moment. And back it comes again. 1 or 2 of the Fijian numbers are beginning to come off the back of the shirts. Maybe that's an indication of the intensity and maybe the effort they've put into the game, Alex.
Yes, I think you'll find out whoever's manufactured them shirts will be a little bit disappointed. Fiji are looking a little bit pedestrian and lacking of ideas now because Australia really are not playing that well.
Brasher could afford not to collect the ball initially. I don't think Bobby Fulton will be entirely pleased about that. And they moved up very quickly. Young Brasher there held the full force of the Fijian tackle. Yes. It's the winger Cavalati.
And then again, it was a good chase, but we do have a problem with Brasher, don't we? We had the same problem at Wembley. He's definitely not comfortable when the ball's in the air.
Dimmock. And he started better in this second half. Certainly he's been involved in the game more in the opening 3 or 4 minutes than he was for much of the opening 40. And Australia again punishing Fiji every time they get possession. It was Carroll who made that marauding run forward. And it's now the opposite prop forward, Dean Payne. Not seen a lot of him.
No, I think while they'll be looking at the Australians, they're moving the ball out in, into the gaps. But the support play is very good. It's just that they're turning the ball back inside a little bit too often.
Tavutabua had to turn and regather. And some of the Fijian problems, it's fair to say, have been of their own making.
Yes, and that was a tremendous tackle from Larson. He must be getting his long legs now. He's after the long flight over from Australia.
Well, it's always difficult to come in for the first appearance, playing, of course, because Paul Harrigan suffered that facial injury. He's out of the World Cup completely. And I think Fiji are on their way out as well. They trail 32-0, second half of this World Cup game here at the McAlpine Stadium in Huddersfield. And the last tackle signalled by the referee, Ward. And that's exactly what they did the last attack they had. Although this time the ball over the touchline, but head and ball to Australia. They're happy to soak it up. We've got a problem to the Fijian fullback, I think it is. Tavutabua, I think, has taken a knock. Could have come in the aftermath of the kick.
I think what happened, I think he just went over actually as he kicked the ball. I don't think there was anything in the tackle at all. As a matter of fact, I don't think he was tackled. It might be just exhaustion, because he's certainly finding this game very, very tough at the moment.
Well, they've certainly brought some colour to the World Cup, Fiji.
Oh,
They're never going to win it, but I think they've enjoyed themselves, and certainly a lot of the spectators have enjoyed watching them.
Well, they brought a lot of flair to the game. They play the game a totally different way than what the Australians, New Zealand and the English play it. They play for enjoyment. They'll have learned a lot from this.
And they're still learning at the moment. It's with Gary Larson, who's been involved a lot more in this second half. And here come Australia again, looking for gaps now in the tiring Fijian defence, and they could well have found one. Terry Hill got one try already in the first half, but Fiji got quite well. In a way, they're sticking to the task pretty well, Fiji.
Yes, they're covering back pretty well, and there again we have, whether it's been he must have dropped the ball, Terry Hill. He'll not be too happy about that. He's definitely not happy about it. I think here as he's run well, he's strong, he's just slipping on the floor. There looks as though there was a Fijian hand in there, and they might have had a little bit of help, but he loses the ball quite naturally.
Well, it was Tagu, I think, who came in as the second man in the tackle. That forced the error from Hill, and here we are with Fiji back in possession. Nasura, the substitute.
And I think Terry Hill was a little bit annoyed about losing that ball, according to that last tackle.
It's difficult to see, though, where any kind of real inspiration. It's a tremendous challenge as well. I think that was Larson who came in with that block tackle. Difficult to see where the inspiration is going to come from now from Fiji. Got a chance to move the ball down the right-hand side. Don't know what the loose forward's doing there. Karatu. A little bit of an attempt to make some space. Here comes Fiji. Best spell perhaps they've had, certainly the best spell in the second half. Was that obstruction?
Yes.
It was Larson, the Australian. I think he's making a bit of a meal of it, but I don't think there was any doubt. That's a penalty to Fiji.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think the crowd will tell you, but there was nothing in that whatsoever. I think Larson, as he just chips the ball over here, there was very little contact. You're not allowed to move out of the way. There's nothing wrong with what Gary Larson did. He's entitled to stand there. He chips the ball over the line. He's just not moved out the road. He might have just given a little nudge, and I think he's totally overplayed that.
Welcome to Huddersfield. Penalty to Fiji. Will they get 2 points? There's Gary Larson, the man who's travelled all the way across to play in this game.
Well, this should answer your question, Jack, because like I say, nilled twice, they're thinking, no, we're going to get some points on the board. And it's going to be very interesting because we're now building up to the semi-final stage of this competition, and a lot of people who watch this game on live TV, they're telling me how much they're enjoying it. You know, the people in Wigan and Bolton and all over the country are really enjoying what's being produced by live TV.
Well, it's Australia who are enjoying this game here this afternoon, but certainly top-class coverage, of course, of all the competition on live TV, and a great game in prospect tomorrow night in Swansea.
Well, that's going to be one cracker of a game, and again, we can see it all here on live. So I said to the people who want to watch the best, come and watch us.
Will we watch now, in a moment's time, Fiji do something against Australia they couldn't manage against England? It's going to be a pretty loud cheer if this goes over.
Yes, I think this will be as if they've won the World Cup. This will be the biggest cheer of the century.
Sevenaka Target is the man to maybe bring the stadium alight. Some of the Australian players can't look. I'm glad it's not absolutely crucial. It looks pretty good, and as he dragged it wide, it's dragged wide again. Again, the technique was poor. Maybe that's the last chance he'll have.
Well, obviously, they've not got a natural goal kicker, and I think it's very, very unusual. They're very good with the ball in the hands, and when they put the ball on the floor, they don't seem to have a clue what they're doing. But they're keeping in the game. They've had 2 chances, 2 simple goals, and missed them both.
And we've had 10 minutes in the second half, and they've managed to keep Australia at bay. 32 points to 0, as it was at half-time, and Fiji will get possession. They seem to have had more possession in the last few moments.
Well, they have. They've not lost possession. They was losing on the first and second tackle, and Australia really probably getting a little bit complacent because they're not actually doing everything right.
And here come the Fijians again. Davawalua drives it up to the halfway line. Tackle comes in from Carroll. But it's pretty lethargic round the play of the ball. The swiftness of the passing isn't really going to trouble Australia at the moment. But they have managed to increase the way that they're controlling the possession, which is a touch more encouraging for them. And that's better now as Fiji again down this right-hand side. A break on for the fullback, Savabwatua. Brasher met him.
Yeah, and that was a lovely tackle by Brasher. He just checked him up, give him the outside, give him the inside, and then said, "You are mine."
And here comes a standoff half. It's the closest they've been. They try it, and the ball is thrown out all of a sudden. Well, they were lucky there. Australia have got possession now, but Brett Dallas, I think, saw the blue miss there, because that would have surely been a 4-pointer. He could have gone the length of the field.
If he'd have latched onto that, Brett Dallas, I think he had the simplest of running chances. All he had to do was pick the ball up and go the length of the field. He'll be disappointed he didn't score from that.
That's Larson, and just looking round at the close-ups on 1 or 2 of these tackles which are coming in from Fiji, I think 1 or 2 of the Australian players are getting a touch upset by it.
Yes, there's 1 or 2 good things about these Fijians. When they tackle in numbers and they tackle hard. And you can see that Dean Pay, he definitely didn't like that.
They make progress again, though, and they're making a lot of yardage now at the moment. Every time they're in possession, they're making full use of that possession. They're making good yardage. Here's Carroll. Oh, what a good tackle. That's the substitute. Vatuba. Fittler. Not a good ball. Well, he's done 1 or 2 good things, Brad Fittler, but he's also been a touch inconsistent.
Well, I think what's happening, and I think 1 or 2 of the Australian lads now, are just trying a little bit too hard. This is very, very unusual for Fittler. I mean, normally that ball is pinpoints, but this one is 2 or 3 yards behind the man. And like I say, Bobby Fulton won't be happy with that, and neither will Brad Fittler.
Complete misunderstanding there. And a Fijian goes off injured.
And I think that the problem they're having with the Australians now, the more mistakes they're making, they're finding it more difficult to get back into the rhythm.
Devata Walu has gone off injured for Fiji.
These names definitely trip off the tongue, don't they? It's quite simple to do this, isn't it?
They trip off the tongue. No doubt about it. Fiji with a penalty. And it's going to take them up to the halfway line.
Here we have again what the penalty's for. I think there's holding down. You've got to roll away from the man, and here we have no problem with Carroll. He just hung on that split second too long.
Kapalati charges forward for Fiji. Can they come up with the goods and maybe put Australia under a little bit of pressure? They've now gone 13 minutes in the second half without conceding any points. And here they come again. That's a substitute for Abuluka. They only know one way. I don't think many of them have taken a backward step in the game.
No, they've competed throughout the game, but they're just lacking that little bit of finesse and that little bit of general ideas.
It's the furthest forward they've been in this second half, no doubt about that. That's a prop forward. And it comes again from the scrum half. The bomb goes up. Not the best kick, but maybe They've got an opportunity to regain possession. Two players went for the same ball. They've still managed to keep it alive. They step back inside. That's the fullback, Sawal Tabouer. And out it comes across, and it's a pity. If they could have got the ball out, there's a bit of an overlap on that left-hand side. It's all very, very scrappy. Eventually the ball is put into touch by the scrum half, Savenka Taka.
And here we have a little bit of misunderstanding here. Just look how they keep the ball alive. That was a lovely knockback for the Fijians. There's bodies all over the field. There's two collisions in the middle of the field. I think we'll find out that the blood bin will come into operation. There's a little bit of the claret flowing from this side. Definitely is a little bit of head collision in this one. It was accident. Both players run into each other, and that looks a little bit nasty.
Two Fijians injured at the moment. One of them gladly now back on his feet.
I think you'll find out here that the doctors will be on pretty quickly. The blood bin from Ernie Ward, he'll hold the card up actually to tell him that this is a substitution for the blood bin. This is not an official substitution. They're allowed to come back on the field, and you'll find out here a little clash. Oh yes, oof, dear me.
Well, that looked nasty. It's actually the standoff half, Nayakalu.
And the prop forward, and believe me, for these fellas to go off the field, it's got to be two bad cuts there, and one looks as though it's on the top of the head, and the other one looks as though just above the eye.
Well, they're getting a rousing reception as they go off the field, but that's a blow that could have severe consequences to Fiji, because they've looked a little bit unsettled in stages of the game, and they've now got to reorganise and reshuffle.
Yep. And I think Ernie Ward is just going to have a word here. There's been a couple of the tackles going in the later stages where they're a little bit high and a little bit dangerous, and obviously Ernie Ward won't stand for that, and he just say, look, cut it out, keep them lower down.
15 gone, second half here on live TV. Australia comfortable still, 32 points to 0 in the lead, and more pressure now for the Fijians to deal with that penalty. Takes the World Cup holders right to the edge of that 20-metre line.
I think Australia, from this position, they've got to start creating chances and putting them chances to good use.
They haven't created one so far in this second half. Terry Hill might be attempting to put that right now. There's a bit more urgency about the Aussies now with this attack. There's Larson, not a lot of support though. Can he make it to the try line? And across comes Fiji again with that good sliding defence. Although this stretch now on the right-hand side, swift hands could create a problem for Fiji here. Fittler, better ball that time, and Menzies dropped it. Fiji in possession. Savatabua, the fullback, took it up. And so far, we've got to say, it's not been a good second-half performance from Australia.
No, it's not. And if you just look at Fittler here, now Menzies normally runs onto this with no problem whatsoever. He was a little bit short, he was a little bit unsighted, and normally they put them chances away. And them are the chances, you know, they're going to have to start taking, because the more they miss, the more problems they're going to have.
He scored with an opportunity like that in the first half. Exactly the same situation like that in the first half. Steve Menzies got two in the opening 40, remember. But Fiji certainly enjoying more possession in this second half.
Yeah, and it's important now that Bobby Fulton has made a substitution. He's brought Paul McGregor on now. McGregor, one thing I will say about this fella, he can finish. I am very, very surprised that he's not been in the starting lineup. He's a good player and he's got a lot of pace.
We'll see. Larson has been involved a touch more in the second half, and that's a sixth tackle turnover. Maybe a touch of frustration now amongst the Fijians, because they do trail, and there goes Terry Hill. Terry Hill, no support at all. Will he need it? I don't think so. He's under the post. He's threatened to do that on a couple of occasions, and Terry Hill gets his second try of the game. It's the first one in the second half, but it was poor tackling.
Well, I think what's happened here is Terry Hill has just dropped the ball on a few occasions, and he's probably wanted to say to himself, look, I can do better than this. When I have the ball in my hands, all I've got to do is run with it and run through the gap. There's some horrendous tackling from the Fijians here. Terry Hill picked the ball up wide out. He sees the gap, like I say, 9 times out of 10 against a good side. You'd expect him to be stopped here. Some terrible tackle from Fiji, but he's a big, strong lad, Terry Hill. He doesn't look as though he's got the pace on the outside, comes inside, and in the end, he scores a very, very good try indeed.
Which will give Andrew Johns an opportunity to bang over his 5th of the game from the try scored there by Terry Hill. 4 from 6, but he's kicked all the difficult ones. This shouldn't be a problem. 4 from 6 becomes 5 from 7, and Australia cruising now, no doubt about that. Big smile on the face of Andrew Johns.
Well, there might be a big smile on his face, but I don't think Bobby Fulton will be absolutely over the moon about this performance. They've made a lot of mistakes. He'll be happy about this because at least he knows now that Terry Hill is running with the ball. He's a strong lad. Like I say, there's some horrendous tackling here. The Fiji coach has a look at this and he'll say, tackling bags tomorrow, lads. There's no problem about it. Look at that. That is appalling tackling. Terry Hill, good chance, good try.
Well, it brought Australia 6 points thanks to the conversion and the tackling, as you say, Alex, really
1, 2,
terrible.
If you show this back on the video, you can show this all season. This is a coach's nightmare. Grabbing at the jersey, grabbing at the shorts, and Terry Hill, you've got to put these guys on the floor.
The interpretation of the word tackle there from the Fijians, I think they're trying to make it look as though it's something to do with fishing. It certainly wasn't anything to do with rugby league.
No, it was very, very poor indeed. And, you know, this has given the Australians the kickstart they might have needed, you know.
And, of course, the substitution as well. That too could affect the outcome. 38 points to 0 at the moment, and Australia now looking dangerous, maybe threatening to step on the gas a touch and producing this second half. And again, that's a better tackle. It came in from the winger, who's done quite well, Cavallati, I think it is. He's been involved in a lot of the play. He's certainly put himself about.
Yeah, but again, it was a bad decision because Menzies is stood flat in the line. I think if he's going to be more effective, he's got to stand a little bit deeper and run onto the ball. What he's trying to do, the Fijians are moving up very quickly, and they're just snuffing him out of the game.
Dimmock trying to get in the game. I think there's an Australian winger there, Brett Dallas, limping a touch. He's gone over to that touchline. Seems to be feeling a leg injury.
Well, there's one or two. It just showed you one of the Fijians who had a massive bandage round the top of his head, so that must be quite a nasty knock.
Here come Australia again. Shuley with a running opportunity again. It's for the winger, Robbie O'Davis. He just lost his footing there. That allowed Fiji to get back and cover, at least for the time being. Tuvey links up with Fittler. Brasher is there. Chip kick comes through. That one won't come off. And Fiji back in possession. But they've got to clear the danger area. Just about managed to do it, or have they? No. Tackled in the in-goal area. That's a dropout from underneath the post, says the referee Ward. I don't think Fiji are too happy about that.
Well, I don't think they should be too happy. Did they take him back over the line? Was he already grounded? He's quite right. He's not very happy about it, the big man, is he? He's saying, look, when I was tackled, I was this side of the line. They dragged me back. And in my opinion, that was the correct decision. You just notice here, he was held. He was this side. He runs the ball out into play. Now, he does get into the field of play. The Australians are quite right. They can take him over, but he was definitely grounded this side of the line.
Australia in possession from the resultant dropout, with Johns taken up now by Larson.
And again, they could be punished for this because this is the position where Australia love to score tries.
They might be able to create the overlap here. That's a good delivery, and it's Brasher who ran into the space. That's a forward pass. Shuley, it rolled forward. It's got in touch anyway, but I think the ball rolled forward a couple of times. But some of the Australian moves are just not coming off. That was a good opportunity for 4 points.
Well, it's a bad mistake. I mean, it's a bad ball from Brasher. It's nowhere near the man. It goes behind the man, and really, it's giving your wingman no chance at all. I think Bobby Fulton will be actually turning his hair out about this. They're not creating they're creating the chances and not putting them away. The basic skills is letting them down.
It's with the loose forward, Karuta. Certainly got a fantastic enthusiasm for the game, the Fijians. We can't fault their energy and the enthusiasm.
No, they've competed well. Like I say, in 5 years' time and maybe 10 years' time, you'll see a different Fijian side.
Well, that's what the World Cup is all about, of course, a learning process for some of the competing countries. I'm sure they'll have enjoyed the time here, but they won't have been enjoying that drop pass from Slavenka Targa. And that just sums up, really, the afternoon. The concentration factor isn't always there, is it?
Well, I think what you've got to look at is they're an emerging nation side. They're learning the game. It's just one of those things. From this competition, they'll go back, they'll say, right, now, how far do we have to go before we get to the Australian standard? A long, long way. But eventually, they'll get there.
Tuvey spins it out wide. That's the Australian substitute, Paul McGregor. I won't be too happy with that.
Well, I don't think Bobby Fulton will be too happy about a lot of things in this game because there's been so many trivial incidents where Australia have had a 3-to-1 overlap and not even hit the man with the ball. Paul McGregor here, as you can see, just lost the ball. That is a little bit of complacency from this standard.
certainly a bit of credit to the Fijians for the tackling. They've stuck to the task, and as you said before, they get round the man with the ball pretty well. And it forced the error, and they've now got possession.
Well, there you are. There's the manager with Bobby Fulton. Now you can see Bobby. Jeff Carr was actually delaying a message down to the bench. He's not too happy about it. Bobby's certainly not too happy about it.
McGregor with the tackle for Australia.
You see, and the longer this game goes on, the longer Australians keep making mistakes. Bobby Fulton's got a selection problem.
Well, he's made one or two changes, of course, for this afternoon's game, but certainly they're going to find it tough. This performance from Australia has just got to be stepped up at good pace for the semi-final, hasn't it?
Yes, he has, and I've got a feeling, you know, if he brought the other Johns on, Matthew Johns, and moved Brad Fittler maybe to loose forward, I think he'll give him a little bit more depth.
Well, Mark Carroll is having attention. Play continues meanwhile. Brasher in possession for Australia. Spins it out wide. Can Australia get themselves on the move? That's Dallas, and he's got some space to work in, and he's going to scoot in right underneath the post. Brett Dallas is second of the game, and on that occasion the Fijian defence was ripped to shreds, torn apart. Dallas gets his second.
Well, not only does he get his second, but this kid's had very, very, very few running chances. He's a great little wingman. He's got lovely balance. He's got lovely poise. This try really needed some scoring. He just checks the man on the outside. Here we have the kick, and like I said, the ball's down the field. Brasher fields this very, very well. It's a lovely ball, and from this the try is created. Again, Brasher has a man outside. Lovely ball to Dallas. Now watch the balance on this kid. Outside, inside, there's no problem. He's got pace. He's got a lot of class. He gets not enough running chances, this fella, and if they did use him, I think he'd be a very, very dangerous player indeed.
He's got his second try of the game, and it looks a formality for Andrew Johns to collect his sixth goal of the game. He must be enjoying life goal-kicking wise. No problems there. And no problems now for Australia, as you can see from the scoreline.
And I think Australia will be looking at the England score as well, thinking they're nailing. But just look at this. This was a very, very bad kick. Kick back to Brasher in open field. Now, one good thing about Brasher, he loves running with the ball. He's got support on his outside, slips the ball out. And this is what we have, Dallas. Class, ability, pace, makes it look easy. Believe me, that's not. Goes back into really cruise mode. This is a good try, isn't it? Puts it down very gently and walks back.
No problems then for Brett Dallas.
They tell me about this kid. They say that this fella could be the biggest sensation on rugby league screen. Peter Sterling said that this fella has had a lot of injuries and he's a tremendous player.
Well, he's got an opportunity now because the player who has gone off and been replaced is Mark Carroll, who's had a pretty big impact on the game. And there's Larson, who's done better in the second half for Australia.
But it'll be interesting to see how Kossoff really takes to the game. He's a lovely player, and he's obviously got a lot of ability.
Still Australia looking for more points on the board now down this left-hand side. Terry Hill's on a hat-trick. He might fancy going all the way. Steps inside. Could be Brasher who finishes it off. And it's with the substitute who's just come on. Looking for points already. Nick Kossoff. Tackled and held, said the referee Ward. There's Tuvey. Tuvey again to Fittler. Chip kick comes in. No real pressure there for Suru.
And again, he'll be disappointed with that, Brad Fittler. Really, the kick was a very, very bad kick. I mean, for a player of each class, it was too strong, it was in the wrong position, and he'll not be too happy about this, because this guy is perfection. He likes doing things right, and he'll not be too happy with what one or two mistakes he's making.
Cabrilati tackled. Meanwhile, for Fiji, he's been a game competitor for the Fijians this afternoon. Seems to have been involved both in attack and in defence of Fiji.
I'll tell you one good thing about it. When they get in the bath tonight in the showers, these fellas will really appreciate it, because there must be some very, very tired Fijians out there.
And they're still looking for the first point in this game. It's the substitute, George Vatuba. That's a nice little half break from the dummy half position. That's another for Vatuba. Wasiki Vatuba. Back inside, and this is where it falls down a little bit. Chip kick comes in. It needs a mistake from Australia, and they're not going to make one. It's McGregor back to Tuvey. and deep in their own half of the field. Australia, even in that position, when they get possession there and it's a broken field, they can look dangerous.
Yes, they can, but again, Brasher let the ball bounce, and he did that at Australia in Wembley and got punished for it.
Terry Hill, he's come into the game more and more the longer it's going on. About 28 minutes in the second half. Australia have only got 2 tries in the second period, remember, but they've got a very comfortable lead. And there's another man on a hat-trick on that far side, Brett Dallas.
I think if there's a time to score tries, now is the time, because the 1 or 2 of these Fijians are definitely looking a little bit heavy-legged.
Tuvi. Johns from acting half-back, spins it out wide. There's another Australian substitute, Matthew Johns, and that's a try. And it's a good one as well. The handling skills were there for all to see. And Robbie O'Davis, it's his second of the game. And he was delighted to slide in.
Well, not only that, it was a very, very good try. This is what rugby league's all about. A simple ball along the line, support play, supporting the man with the ball. And Nick Kossoff was in that again, and this is what the Australians do very, very well. Robbie O'Davis accepts this again. Here we have Kossoff here. A lovely ball, a lovely dummy run. Terry Hill, ball out to Robbie O'Davis. Thank you very much. I'll take that any day of the week. It's lovely play, isn't it? Lovely ball skills, simple football. It looks easy. When it's done right, that's the way it should look.
Well, he's made it look easy in actual fact, because the earlier player created the overlap and allowed him the opportunity to run absolutely bang into that gap, and his timing was good, the delivery was perfect.
And if you notice, since Kossoff's come on, we've got more running chances. He's a good player, this lad.
Andrew Johns looking for his 7th of the afternoon. It's certainly kickable, but a touch more difficult than the ones he's had earlier. Going to try and curl it round. That's a beauty. I think it's going to just sneak in, and it has. 7 goals for Andrew Johns so far.
And I think that just passes the score that England beat Fiji, and that's what Bobby Fulton would be looking for. But look at this football again. This is magnificent skills. Kossoff holds the ball. Terry Hill moves it out wide. Simplest of chances, but they make it look right when it's done right.
Well, that's the reward, of course.
See, Robbie O'Davis, like I said, this is a wingman's dream. A lovely ball off your centre, and I'll do the rest. And that's what he just did.
I think Brasher linked up as well, and as a decoy there, Alex. He seemed to come into the line. It put 1 or 2 of the Fijian defenders off. They thought he was going to get the ball.
Yes, what he did, he just does the dummy run. He takes the man out. But like I say, Australia are very good at doing this. And nearly, I would think in the last 10 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept moving the ball out wide, because 1 or 2 of these Fijian lads are very, very tired indeed.
It's a mountain to climb. It's a severe test of character now for Fiji. They're playing for pride. And it's going to be the last 10 minutes of this 1995 Rugby League World Cup, and here come Australia again, but they're still sticking to the task pretty well.
Yes, I don't think we need to say what's happened under that bandage, do we? They tell me he's had 12 stitches in there.
There's Brasher. There's points available here for Australia, and it could be a hat-trick. It is a hat-trick. That's 3 for Dallas. Brasher again, linking up dangerously. And there's that man, Brett Dallas, going in. Made it look easy, and it's a hat-trick.
Yes, and he's a good player, this lad. He's got plenty of pace, he's got plenty of ability. I think he's had more running chances in this game than he has in all the other matches. He's obviously a very, very good finisher, but you have Brasher here. He does very, very well, and this is what he likes to. He loves running with the ball, Brasher. He has men in support here. Looks as though he's going to go on his own once, but sees Dallas in a better scoring chance. The Fijian just drags him over the line to make it look a little bit easier. But this is what they do well, don't they? From deep, lovely ball skills again. Brasher in the line, shows the ball. Come on, inside, any time now. And Dallas is there to finish off.
He did make it look pretty easy in the end. And a lot of this now, I think, we've got around about 7 minutes to go. A lot of it is surely now tiredness and fatigue, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And not only that, I think with Andrew Johns kicking so well, anything can happen.
There's another one. And that one is just wide.
Well, that certainly put the mockers on him, didn't it? I mean, he's been kicking tremendously well, he's been striking the ball well. The nice thing about this now, it'll make it interesting for the game tonight, which you'll see on live. This is Brasher again, shows the ball, Dallas inside. All he has to do is release the ball at the right time, and Dallas does the rest. I think the Fijian just helped him a little bit and dragged him over the line. I said now, Bobby, does he look any happier than what he did at the start of the game? I wouldn't think so. He'll still pick the bad things out of this game, and that's what most coaches do. Oh, a little smile from Bobby.
Not very often you see that.
No, that you want to take that for posterity because you don't see too many of them.
Well, we've seen a lot of points as well. 54-0 now, massive advantage for the world champions, and there could even be more before the end of this game, and this man could score them. He's going to take on the fullback, ducks outside, came back in. Good tackle in the end.
Yes, because 9 times out of 10 you'd expect Dallas to score them, and it was good position play from the fullback.
Tuve again involved in the move. Terry Hill, another player on a hat-trick. He's spilled possession. He's dropped the ball.
And that's what Bobby Fulton will not be happy with, because when they've created scoring chances, they've put the ball to ground, and good players shouldn't do that too often.
Well, they've done it too often this afternoon, there's no question about that. It's not been an entirely positive performance, this, from Australia, despite that 54-0 scoreline.
Well, I don't think it's been vintaged Australian. I think there's been some very, very good points. There's been some great support play, and 1 or 2 lads will be happy with the performances. But there'll be 1 or 2 performances where there's still question marks about.
Fiji still, as they have done from the very first whistle, trying to go forward, never taking a backward step. It'd be great to see them get some points on the board. It's with the substitute at the moment, George Batuba. But it's weary now out there. I think they're playing from memory at the moment, I think, Fiji, Alex.
Yes, I think what's happening with Fiji, I think they can't wait for the whistle to go. And there we have the man of the match. I presume he's the man of the match, Andrew Johns. And what a bonus this fella's been. Number 7 normally. Put your head in the pack, and he's got to be a brave man to put his head in that pack. Not only does he put his head in the pack, he comes out with the man of the match. What a great performance from a little lad.
Well, it's great when you can move players round and have the versatility of the players to be able to do that as well.
Well, one good thing about the modern day player, they're expected to do whatever is necessary to play rugby league.
And here come the Aussies again. From the back of the scrum, Terry Hill has been involved in practically every forward movement from Australia in this second half. He's begun to enjoy himself. And there's a substitute, Nick Kossoff, turns it inside, could be more points. It's the other winger, he's got a hat-trick as well. You won't stop him. That's Robbie Davis. He's got a hat-trick as well, and the points now are beginning to pile up.
And what did I tell you about this Kossoff? When Peter Sterling starts giving big raps about players, and he doesn't give too many about them, Peter, he said, look out for a kid called Nick Kossoff. This kid is going to be a star of the future. Watch him here. Does it right with a lot of class, a lot of poise. Brings Robbie O'Day in. Beautiful weighted ball. Robbie O'Day loves these kind of chances. Makes it look easy, but this is a very, very good rugby league try.
Well, I would agree with you entirely. I think the introduction of the substitute, Nick Kossoff, has made a great difference, certainly from an attacking point of view to Australia. They've created more opportunities for the wingers.
Well, when you see the ball skills, he turns the ball to the man, does it right, weights the ball right, and like I say, Robbie O'Day will just love that.
And I would expect that Andrew Johns will love this as well.
Look at the Fijian coach here. If ever you feel sorry for the bloke, it's this guy.
Well, they've given a lot to the competition. And in comes the opportunity now to make it 60 points. There's no problem for Andrew Johns.
And is that a warning to the rest of the people in this competition? Even though they're not playing exceptionally brilliant football and doing everything right, Australia, they're still scoring 60 points. They scored 80 points in the last one. Bobby Fulton's still not happy about it. What happens when they put everything right?
Well, they certainly got it right for that last try.
And that's where Robbie O'Day, doesn't he? I mean, look at it. I mean, that is a simple chance again, isn't it? Great football play from Nick Kossoff. A lovely ball inside, and Robbie O'Day does the rest.
5 second-half tries now for Australia, adding to the 6 they got in the opening 40. We thought it was going to be a formality, and it's a shame, really, from a Fijian point of view, because they've certainly added some colour and some flair and they play without fear, the Fijians.
Well, they've competed to the bitter end. I mean, you've got to take marks out of 10, you know, for efforts. They've given a lot of effort, but they've been totally outclassed by a much better side, which you would expect.
And just a reminder, of course, to all the viewers that myself and Alex Murphy will be hot-footing it down the M62, down the M62 corridor, I think they call it in these parts, to Headingley. It's England against South Africa tonight. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff, and plenty to look forward to in that game as well. Martin Afaya playing his first game in the competition, and a debut as well for the young Leeds fullback Paul Cook. All that still to come. We've got about 60 seconds left here at the McAlpine Stadium.
Yes, and it's also interesting now how confident one or two of these Australian players are looking. The Fijians are looking a little bit tired, and you know what they say about a good side, they always rub it in. They never let anybody off the hook.
It's a high bomb as well, and another tester for Fiji. Well, that's taken. Well, it wasn't taken. It was in the end by the Fijian fullback, Tavatabia, but it was some basketball first. And despite what the crowd would like to see, in fact, I think what everybody would like to see who's watching would be some points for Fiji, but we're not going to see it, and that's the game, isn't it, really?
No, and I think that lad, when he wakes up in the morning, will have a big, big headache.
Fiji again now. Perhaps the best player, certainly caught the eye of my eye, Cavalati, who's been involved. He looks very, very tired. He's absolutely weary. An indication there of the weariness.
Oh, dear.
And there you go.
Oh, dear.
That's it, he says. That's our World Cup hope's gone. And they have as well, haven't they?
Yeah, and that doesn't look too good, does it? That was the bag. This just looks a little frustration here. Can't do the simple things right. Takes his eye off the ball. His frustration. He lets you know how he feels. Just watch this. Oh, dearie me.
Well, the left boot says it all for Fiji. They trail 60 points to 0. And Australia are going better and better with every single minute of the game. Brasher trying to go forward. And not much defending being done now by Fiji. We're into stoppage time here at Huddersfield. And Australia are going to march into the semi-finals of the World Cup fairly majestically, if they're not entirely happy. Another point there. It's the newcomer as well. Gary Larson rubbed salt into an ever-opening wound of the Fijian defence. Larson went in, and it's been a long flight over for him, and he's got some reward right at the end of the game.
He'll be very, very happy about that. But again, it's magnificent football from Australia. Now, when they're doing things right, this is what it should look like. The support plays good, the man hits the gap well, and again, we've got Tuve here, a lovely ball outside. We've also got the main man, Fittler, shows the ball, pops it inside, and that's a lovely weighted ball to Larson. It's well worth the trip.
And it's another 2 points as well for Andrew Johns. And it's a very, very comfortable victory here at the McAlpine Stadium. We'll be back, of course, for the World Cup